All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army episode 2.205, and we got a lot to talk about this week. We're going to start with headlines, where we'll touch on the U20 World Cup, Captain America, and the Premier League Sack Fest. Weekly What If, we're actually throwing a pop quiz at these guys. Rest of world, actually Premier League, we got all sorts of, sad and happy things to talk about, mostly sad for Tyler and me, and happy for Mikey. So basically more of the same. Rest of world, we have MLS Women's World Cup and a shout out on the NCAA pool. And then stoppage time. Ivan Toney's best bets and everyone's favorite segment, GOAWs. And stay tuned for a fun chat with longtime Goal Scorers Union member and Chicago Fire striker Kai Kamara. That was fun. So stay tuned for that. But now it is time to welcome in these beauties here with me this week. First up, we got Mr. Mikey Fowler, who loves being introduced first. Mikey, have you started to work on Vince Vaughn and get him into like the soccer fan mindset yet?
He's a big hockey guy. And for some reason, I think that there's a natural fit, but it takes a little while, especially with the older generation. So I haven't even begun to incept the soccer thing. But honestly, he would fit that kind of mold at the investor level with the business ventures and stuff he's interested in. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
All right, someday. Listen, soccer and hockey, I've always said this, they're basically kissing sisters. So it's not a hard transition. If you like hockey, get into soccer. Number two, last but never least, Tyler Terrence. Can you, sir, put into words the level of disappointment that you felt on Saturday night? By the way, sorry for the traffic in the background. The level of disappointment you felt on Saturday night when you thought you were going to be partying with Mitch and myself, and you ended up sitting at home by yourself with your putt in your hand.
I mean, at this point, like I just sort of, I sort of come to expect this. It's like I think I have friends and I think I have a social life, but like most nights end up the same way. So it's what do you want me to say to that? Like,
first of all, welcome to old age. That's not sad. That's just getting older. That's how it works.
I am not you. Okay, let's get one thing very clear.
I have not given up.
Yeah, I mean, I was super pumped. Mitch was supposed to come in, the faux storm that apparently swept through the Midwest just didn't even happen, and his flight got canceled. You're doing God knows what in some deserted incestual place. So I don't know. Like, yeah, it was disappointing, but here we are yet again. Had a couple of beers with the crew after the Fire game and called it a night. You're right. This is my life.
I know. Listen, I was just giving you shit. It was partially my fault for leaving town. I don't normally leave town. I don't often do that, but I came down to Gulf Shores, Alabama. Very nice place, by the way. Weather's hit and miss. Very nice today. And if you hear the sea in the background or if you see some palm trees, apologies for that. But Mitch is the one that really got screwed. His flight for what his just got canceled, and he never even made the trip. That poor lad. All right, let's move on to headlines for this week. So first up, Indonesia was set to host the FIFA U20 World Cup. It was set to start next month, and FIFA up and said, nope, you are not going to be the host of that. I read it was because that the Indonesia's stance on Israel, where they don't recognize, Indonesia is a Muslim majority country, and sort of perhaps Tyler could touch in on this, on the politics of it, but Indonesia and their in their ties with Palestine, they don't recognize Israel as a sovereign country. So Israel, they qualified for the World Cup, the U20 World Cup, and Indonesia basically wasn't going to let them play or something like that. And so FIFA was like, well, I guess you're not going to be hosting this. Did I get any of that right or wrong, political correspondent Tyler Terrence?
Am I a correspondent on this because of my political savviness or because I'm Jewish or both?
Just the political savviness, and we're not getting into the other side of it here.
Okay, just making sure. I just want to clarify that on all fronts. But no, there's not really. The only thing that I would add is that victims of the 135 people who died in the stadium crash within Indonesia are claiming, at least to them and to the people of Indonesia, that it's more it's more significant and important to cancel this because of the safety concerns as opposed to the political stuff. Now, whether you agree with that or not, but like that also seems to be a factor as well.
Okay. That plays. I mean, that was obviously a terrible, terrible incident just a few months ago. So, yeah. By the way, little side note on that. Argentina has really, I'm not going to say pull the fast one, but they've made a big brain move, and they've made a hard push to host the U20 World Cup in Indonesia's stead. And oh, by the way, Argentina did not qualify for the U20s World Cup, but if they host it, they would get to participate. So big brain move there by Argentina. Next up, excuse me, Tyler Adams. So we just talked on the last week's podcast on mailbag episode. Somebody asked us about Tyler Adams. Is it possible that he might not start? Well, that question just became all the more relevant based on the news that Leeds is shutting him down for the season. I believe hamstring surgery. So, yeah, that's not good. That would be bad news, both for Leeds and for the U.S. men. We got CONCACAF Nations League. We got Gold Cup coming up. And obviously, Captain America's status is very much in question at this point. So just terrible news there. Nothing else to say on that. But if you want to hear our discussion about Adams and his starting, or somebody starting in place of him, go back and watch, or listen or watch on YouTube last week's episode. And sorry about my Wi-Fi this week, boys. It's I don't know. I'm not going to take shots at Alabama. I love Alabama, but it's booty cheeks. All right. Finally, we will get to the amicable sack fest that happened in the Premier League over the past week. So Antonio Conte, he's out at Spurs by mutual consent. Brendan Rodgers, he's out at Leicester.
Third place Spurs. Third place Spurs.
There's no way we're in third. I haven't checked the table today, but I'm pretty sure we're not in third place. And you, Mikey, can shove it. Leicester. Leicester's Brendan Rodgers is out by mutual consent. And Graham Potter, just hours after Brendan Rodgers, Graham Potter followed him out the door by mutual consent. And I love these mutual consent sackings, number one, which, obviously is just the coach finding a way to get their golden parachute and the clubs being able to
we finally lost them, Tyler.
Is it not working? Oh no. Hold on.
Maybe
Sackfest.
Sackfest. So as we were talking about before, my internet decided to go all unstable on our asses, and I moved inside. It was Sackfest this past week. Conte is out, Rodgers is out, and Potter is out, and they were all done so, or they're all out by mutual consent. Anyway, more importantly than the mutual consent bit is who's going to replace these guys. So Stellini, Antonio Conte's assistant, is taking over at Tottenham right now. I think this, the same thing with Chelsea and Leicester at this point. But let's talk a little bit about what kind of manager these teams need. Mikey, I know you got some thoughts on this. So without, you can throw names out there if you want, but what kind of manager do these teams need right now?
What's crazy is you could realistically see more managers losing their job in the Premier League at the end of this season. Mykhailo Arteta right now is the fourth longest tenured Premier League manager currently right now, which is fucking insane. So when you think about it, I'm still going to harp on the fact that they need to give time for projects, but big personalities needed. It's going to be another manager wave of big personalities coming into the Premier League in the next couple months, because I think Chelsea specifically need that kind of talisman figure. Tottenham have always needed that, to be honest. So I don't know if they're going to go that way. And it doesn't seem to work for them. So God help you and your answer to this question. But I think we're going to see a lot more big personalities coming back in the Premier League. It has to be.
Big personality. Well, Chelsea, obviously, that's all they deal with. It's been hit and miss for Tottenham.
No tactics, just vibes and personalities.
Just vibes.
That's literally it. They show up and the managers get handed a new toy all the time. They're like, make this work. And it's like, oh crap. Like wingers. They have a lot of wingers and they've never played with them.
There is something to be said for just this toxic cycle that the Premier League is in at this point, where you got managers who come in and you get about 6 months tops, less for some guys. You get 6 months, and if you have not sort of hit this, for some clubs, unobtainable standard, you're gone. It's crazy, and it's just not like, look at what Arsenal did. They gave to Arteta. First of all, Arteta had the resume to sort of, listen, he learned under Pep. He was
First job.
Club legend, true, but he sort of had the pedigree of Pep Jr. And Arsenal gave him that time, and it seems to be paying off quite well. On the other hand, Chelsea, on the opposite side of the spectrum, every 3 months they're going through somebody new. The odds-on favorite to be the next Chelsea manager is Nagelsmann right now, followed by Pochettino, followed by Bruno Salter, Zinedine Zidane, Pep Guardiola. Are you serious? Oliver Glasner and Ruben Amorim. I don't know. Any thoughts on this, Tyler? On any of the specific clubs or anything? This is on my end. My Alabama internet is fucking me.
Not bad right now.
It's not bad. You're fine. You're fine. Let's keep rolling here. And then, I mean, Leicester wise, like, it, as poor as they are defensively, like, you have to find ways to play around or with James Maddison as long as he's there. So, like, it's going to have to be somebody who's attacking minded, but that's going to leave them exposed. I feel like they're just going to continue to be in the same position that they're in.
It's actually a great job for like a Graham Potter, right? The Leicester one, like, because you can sell on Tielemans, Madison, make a little bit of money and spend that on like these. I don't know. He can kind of start over again. That's a fun one. I think he might end up there.
I'll tell you what, though, if he takes a job like that and doesn't succeed, his career is basically over.
Yeah,
as far as
I agree with you. I agree with you.
So that's a dicey one for him to take. I would take something a little bit more stable than that. But I mean, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. The mutual consent thing, I'm so done with that. Like,
so stupid.
It's so dumb. And it's not even just for optics. I think it's more legally in terms of like what the payout ends up being.
100%. It's like clubs clawing some money back. That's what it is. That's 100%. And you know that Tottenham,
but it's a larger lump sum probably in the moment. They're like, instead of your $7 million term out, buyout, we'll give you 5 right now. Let's call it a day. And it needs to be mutual. But anyway.
That's great. So do you think, Sam, if I had to ask you, gun to your head, do you think the coming to the mutual consent definition is why Conte stayed there extra weeks and months longer and tortured you even longer?
I think
that's awful. If it ends up resulting in stuff like that, that's really bad.
I think so. I think that he wanted his money, and Danny Levy didn't want to pay him his money.
So he just kicked and screamed? Was unprofessional?
I think so. I mean, that's just a guess. I don't have any inside information.
No, I know.
But his behavior the last few months there was ridiculous in retrospect.
Things like that seem to be, they seem like they're conspiracy theory ideas, but like, that's just somehow that some of this shit goes. It's so much more petty and juvenile than we give it credit for. It really is. Always.
I mean, I believe it. That last outburst when he's like, you've had an owner here for 20 years and what have you won? Like, wow,
crazy shit, fucking crazy shit.
I mean, that is,
these really are the golden days, Sam. It's not enough to be top of the table. You need to be suffering like this for me to be truly happy.
That is like Andy Bernard in The Office going to take a dump on the hood of David Wallace's car so that he can fire him. And like Levy still wouldn't do it, even though Conte was taking a verbal dump on his chest and was just
crazy.
Like, keep taking it.
Listen, that is perfectly analogized.
He wanted some of his money back, and there's Danny Levy and his money. They're
Damn, you gotta find that clip from The Office and then put like the shit, put the hood of the car as Levy and Conte is Andy Bernard.
The fact you think I have like 5% of the editing skills needed to make that happen is
no.
Nice
all you need to do, you just take your still frame and then put it in the Microsoft Art or whatever it is that you fucking use that you're on while you and I are watching a game together at a pub with beers and you're not even paying attention to me or the game. You're just fucking tweeting and making memes.
That's true. Listen, when you're committed to the game, you're committed to the game, Tyler.
That's true. I love you for it, and so does all of us in Sam Fam.
Respect my Sam Fam. By the way, Julian Nagelsmann is apparently still the favorite for Tottenham and Chelsea.
Remind me why he's so great.
Liverpool too. He's not good. I don't want him.
What the hell's going on with these? Like, suddenly a name gets hot and the fucking value comes out of nowhere.
First of all, did he do that bad at Bayern? I mean, the guy had like a 70-something percent.
He has Kingsley Coman playing right wing back. I don't know. That's pretty shitty.
I mean, they're winning. They're winning. That's my point. Tottenham could use some of that. He comes with a resume that like I could get behind. I'm just scared about Pochettino.
What about Will Still? Think Will Still's going to get a Premier League shot?
First, he's got to get his, paperwork.
He's getting it. He put it on Instagram or something.
Get his paperwork in order, and maybe we'll talk about it. Actually, I wouldn't mind Luis Enrique if we're talking about who we'd actually like. I would not mind Luis Enrique at Tottenham.
I think Pochettino at Chelsea makes sense to me in my head.
No. First of all, no, it doesn't make sense. And second of all, you're just being a jerk. You're being a jerk, Mikey.
I'm dead serious.
What about Peter Crouch at Spurs?
What's his resume? Being tall?
Got a great podcast.
Great podcast. Big personalities only.
I prefer he started at Stoke. All right, let's move on to Weekly What If, and we are changing it up this week. I'm throwing a pop quiz at you two.
I'm gonna fail.
See how many of these you can get. So, pop quiz. I'm looking at your eyes. I'm looking at your eyes right now, Tyler. Okay. Top 5 in order. Top 5 in order. Odds to win the Champions League this season.
Oh man, I was betting during the intro. I just looked at this and I actually placed a wager.
Oh, all right, then he can't play.
I can't play. I literally just did this.
Tyler can start. Mikey can correct.
I can tell you who I bet on.
Who'd you have? Who'd you take?
I took Inter Milan.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
You took Milan?
Plus 1,400, and they're going to beat Benfica, and then they're going to beat one of the AC Milan Napolis after one of them beats the shit out of the other one. And then I have them in the final. I'm going to hedge.
Okay, I'm cooking up my order right now.
All right. What do you got?
All right.
That makes sense in my head.
I think that City are 1.
He's correct.
Madrid 2.
Nope.
Bayern
is 2.
Madrid 3.
Nope. Believe it or not.
That's great.
Yeah. Napoli 3.
Napoli 3. Correct.
Madrid 4.
Yes.
And Liverpool 5.
No. 5 is actually a tie. So I'll give you this is tough. 3 teams last I saw were tied for
Milan.
third. Milan is one of them. Oh, well, Inter Milan is one of them.
Yeah.
Chelsea and Benfica. That would have been tough for you.
I mean, who cares about 5? You should have just done top 3. I mean, like the fact that Chelsea is like a quasi favorite to win the Champions League is a fucking joke.
Well,
Larry, I'm talking to you, bro.
I mean,
Larry's the Leeds guy.
There's not many teams left. The Mikey, damn it! You should have told me that you were going to be.
Sorry, I was looking up. I made a little bit of money today on betting on Tottenham to draw the minute they got a red card against them. I just knew that was going to be a draw. Took a while to get there, but I put that on a future for the Champions League.
All right.
I'm shocked that the boys in Vegas actually have Napoli over Madrid. Given Madrid,
you got to look at the sides though.
Tournament.
Look at their
that right side is so weak. They got to beat AC Milan and then they'll have Inter Benfica.
Dude, it doesn't fucking matter. We were talking about sides and tactics last year too when it came to this Madrid group, and it didn't fucking matter.
Yes,
like,
they
figure it out in this tournament. They always do.
That's true. My feature on Napoli that I put on them in the group stage to win the championship.
They got their butt whooped this week.
Yeah, that did not make me too confident.
I lost a lot of money on that game every way.
Oh, yeah.
I chased even at 2-0. I thought that for sure was gonna be vintage Napoli, and I just got fucking choked out.
AC Milan just absolutely smoked him. All right, we'll move on to Premier League. So, well, the question that I ask you guys every now and again, and usually it doesn't make sense, but what game, Mikey? You start with you. What game this past weekend? What result was most interesting? And I really hope you aren't going to start with today's game.
That was actually the least interesting by always. There's no question about it when Liverpool and City play it. hyper magnifies what's wrong with your team at the moment. Like you see some really lopsided results sometimes. This wasn't one of those until the very, it turned kind of late. I'm saying for like 30, 40 minutes, it looked like this thing was honestly going to be a classic. And then the mistakes got really, like I think Virgil van Dijk had a tough day at the office. And when that happens, Liverpool tend to not defend very well. And that was the most interesting to me because City, that was the first time, because I know they've been putting up 7s and 6s, but City actually played somebody who I respect now and did that to them. So that's not great. And that does not bode well for Arsenal Liverpool on the weekend. It really doesn't. With the way they go up and down, this is a bad sign. Bad.
Keep in mind that everything Mikey says right now is colored by the fact that Arsenal is playing Liverpool next week. So he's gonna talk them up. He's gonna talk about how Arsenal has no chance. I mean, we know.
Going behind in a race, it's not an easy thing to overcome. And if it happens to Arsenal, they do not have the experience City does. I'm a little bit worried. And it's at Anfield. Can't stress that enough. So I'm freaked the fuck out, Sam. I am, truly.
I actually believe you on that. I don't think that was reversed.
We will go behind and we have to respond the way City did.
You don't believe him. Shut up.
I actually do.
Dead serious. I'm dead serious.
I think he's in trouble this weekend too. I think Liverpool have a legitimate chance too. Although, obviously that the game against City without Haaland, by the way, I don't know if that was good or bad, but I don't know. What do you think, Tyler?
When talking about injuries for City, it never really matters. They're the deepest team in the world at every position. It never fucking matters. Like it just doesn't.
All right. And any thoughts on that game? It was just sort of like, I don't know. We were in there for a minute and then
I expected more out of you to try to push my buttons and rile me up. This is
you're my friend, Tyler. I would never do that.
This is pretty gentle and pretty tame, to be completely honest. So I'm going to be gentle and tame. Okay. I don't know. The most concerning part about all of this is two things. Number one, this is always happening in the second half and at the end of games. Like we just don't have 90 minutes worth of focus in us ever anymore, really. And then the second thing is Mo's comments after the game, basically like giving up on the season. Now, I don't take too much stock in that. I'm sure he was pretty emotional and like this whole thing has been frustrating with the injuries and coming off of a near quad last year and just sort of like they've just caught some really unlucky breaks. But like I said it last week. I was just like, if Liverpool try to play that they want to play, like we are going to get fucking torn apart. And we tried to play that we tried to play the way we wanted to play for 75 minutes. And then after that, it got out of hand. And the start to the second half was brutal. I don't know what the fuck Verge was thinking in our whole back line. This is where we are right now. And we're a point off of Brighton in the table. And it's April 3rd.
I mean, even though that we being Tottenham are in a slightly better position, I'd probably trade with you.
But the thing is that like the Diaz bump and getting Nunez back to full fitness might actually just give us enough to keep us at least in the conversation for the rest of the season. If like Diaz wasn't coming back or something like that, or if he like isn't anything close to himself, we're going to be put to sleep real quickly in this race.
All right, Mikey, you were actually close. I didn't realize we still are in fourth. I thought maybe that I guess that draw that we got today, which we can talk about if anybody wants to, even though I'd rather not.
I do.
All right.
I want to talk about the goal.
Okay, so we're talking about Tottenham now. This is a Tottenham Hotspur team that went
welcome to Tottenham Corner.
It went to Everton and went up a goal and then went up a man. Or was it went up a man first?
Opposite.
Up a man first, then up a goal, a Harry Kane penalty, obviously, and somehow conspired to not win a game at Everton. Everton team that scored like 4 goals all season. So, yeah, we freaking stink. We stink right now, and I'm like on the verge of like losing it, but trying to keep it in. I'm going to try and keep it in a little bit. But that sucked. This team stinks right now. I don't know what to be excited about this club. We don't have a coach. We don't have a freaking sporting director. Our best player wants to leave. I don't know. I don't know what I'm excited about. My only excitement is the possibility that Arsenal don't win the fucking title. That's it. That's all I have going for me this
Can
season.
you stop being such a fucking baby?
No.
You guys literally are in 4th place right now.
We don't.
Everything
like
that
we're in
happens
14th.
for the rest of the year, everything that happens for the rest of the year is in your control, which I know seems scary. But call me when you have some real problems.
Yeah, Sam, I want to comment on.
Off? I'm fucking pissed off now listening to you complain like this.
Saka and Martinelli's combined age is your age, and so if you're going to take happiness, on our failures and comparing to yourself, you need to focus on yourself for the foreseeable future. Okay, do not worry about what Arsenal's doing anymore. You need to focus on 4th place. Forget us. It's going to be a miserable existence.
We're not a 4th place team. The fact we're in 4th place right now.
You are. The whole league stinks.
That's probably true, but we're going to lose to Brighton this weekend, and they'll be right on our ass. Newcastle is ahead of us, actually, in 3rd place on goal differential. Man United, they'll probably finish ahead of us. I still think Liverpool is going to finish ahead of us. Like this team stinks. This team stinks, and this game for some reason really just sort of brought it home to me how much we fucking stink. We stink.
I'm getting so sick and tired of the reverse jinx from both of you.
This is not reverse jinx. I think we legitimately stink.
I feel like I'm listening to my parents communicate right before they got divorced. They were talking, but nothing was really being said. Like, you guys don't say anything that's real. And it's gonna cause problems. Like, you both are just talking Liverpool up. We stink. Woe is me. Like, we get it. You're trying not to jinx your fucking team. It doesn't exist. Let's talk.
I think Liverpool wins this game this weekend, but that's a complete.
I genuinely do.
Separate.
Gabby Jesus is the only one.
We're playing Chelsea on Tuesday as well. Like, I don't know who you think we are right now. We are not Liverpool.
You're not that Liverpool, but you're still Liverpool.
We're the same Liverpool that got City abused us in that second half. Abused us like we used to abuse teams, like when we got Scott Parker fired and we were winning every single game known to mankind. Like, they abused Liverpool Football Club. We are not him. We are not. We are fragile.
It took some liberties.
I'm super excited for that Chelsea game. That's like a fucking telenovela script. Like, it's daytime
it's
TV.
Gonna be terrible. It's going to be an awful game. I think it's going to be 0-0. I genuinely do.
That's a good best bet.
Can Liverpool play a 0-0 game?
There's my Ivan Toney best bet.
I watched the Chelsea Liverpool. I remember vividly what I was doing for the Chelsea Liverpool the first time. Mudryk's debut. That was the worst 90 minutes I've seen in a long time. This one's going to be just as bad.
Mudryk looks the part, though. Like, he looks like a striker that you would create in FIFA and like would score 7 goals a game with. Like, he looks like a badass and a baller. He ain't, though. He's a punk rock version of Timo Werner.
that sort of one-on-one with the keeper he had against Aston Villa, where he just sort of tamely worm burned a shot right into Emi Martinez's, like, right into his feet, was kind of like, you have to be so low on confidence to, first of all, take that shot where he took it at the top of the 18 and just squib it like that. That was, I don't know. I wasn't so out on Mudryk until that made me question.
You got the ick. You saw him do something. Got the ick on Mudryk.
Yeah, that was the ick. I don't know. You kids are talking about your ick stuff, but yeah, that was the moment I got the ick on Mudryk.
What's the opposite of a soccer boner?
That
the ick.
Getting the ick.
The ick.
Soccer ick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Soccer ick. Any other games from the weekend? I mean, there were some interesting ones. Arsenal.
You have to. Yeah. Newcastle. They killed United, didn't they?
Yeah, it felt like more than 2-0. I'll say that. It just felt like
XG was pretty fucking high. Yeah, it was kind of a and I'm going to take a second to call out NBC Sport. If you read just Twitter, you would think that Man United is A, in the title race, and B, Anthony's the greatest winger of all time. They're posting mundane-ass clips on the timeline and not posting goals from the Arsenal game. So we need to take a second and air out that stupid account.
I saw you tweet something about that.
So stupid.
You're not wrong on the XG. So XG Newcastle is 3.68 and United was
Yeah.
0.43. So yeah, I mean that feels right. Like Newcastle
It was
just
a live
dominated the
bullet.
game.
It was a live bullet. If I don't tweet it, it hits. I've learned, so I'm done tweeting it.
Listen, Newcastle is a legitimate. They're going to finish top four. I've said it.
We knew this for a while.
One.
We knew this for a while.
They had that lull that people started to sort of question it, but I still think that they're there.
I think they're clearly the third best team in the league. Like
they're certainly the third
tier.
most consistent.
Absolutely, it's funny we're talking about them on same points as you.
Yeah,
it's fucking insane.
It's insane. That is insane.
Might as well just do power rankings at this point.
We already got it.
Well, for the record, we played two more games than Newcastle, so that's part of the reason we're on the same points. That Arsenal 4-1 win over Leeds.
Jesus, whole story. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's a good sort of takeaway from it. But the takeaway I had was that, like, fuck, they kind of look like a team that are going to win the title this season. Like,
man, Trossard is so
You're just picking that up now on.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I've been very listen. Not all these performances that Arsenal come up with are like, okay, that's like a title winning. That one. It's not the first time. It's not the first.
You're mistaking performances and results at this juncture. Like, why does it matter what their performance were if they pull out 3 points in all of these ridiculous situations? Like,
just 8 out of 9, man. Just 8 out of 9. I saw a graphic go up on NBC Sports. It was like, Arsenal can secure title with 9 victories out of 10. I was like, shut the fuck up. Like,
that's math.
Your magic number is 27 points.
Get that shit out of my face, dude. Get that shit so far out of my face. But no, it's.
I know what I'm doing now. Every time Arsenal pick up one, I'm going to send the magic number. I'm going to send the magic number to Mikey. I'm going to.
It's fucking painful. It's an awful number.
But it was back-to-back 4-1 wins over teams near the in the bottom half.
You got to handle business. You got to handle business.
I mean that's not nothing. The Brentford Brighton game might have been the most entertaining.
Jesus, Brighton would not go away.
I did not see that coming. Bournemouth, they might avoid relegation.
Man, they have some games where they have looked just so bad, like the worst team. Yeah, if they stay up, man, that
would be a hell of a job if they stay up. And the Bournemouth owner, the Las Vegas Knights owner, who said, our goal, we're staying up. Or I think he just guaranteed that they were staying up. And this is after the July window, summer window, where they basically did nothing, and then January where they barely did more than that. And he's like, yeah, we're staying up. It sounded like a dumbass American thing, but man, if he pulls that off, well done. Well done, sir. Yeah, I got nothing else. West Ham, don't like you expect. Well, I guess you never expect that from West Ham these days. Crystal Palace, that was the final nail in the coffin for Leicester or for Rodgers. And,
man, did you see that stat that I tweeted at halftime of that game? Crystal Palace had 20 first half shots to the Leicester 0 in that game. One of the more amazing statistics I've ever seen in my life. It was only a 1.1 XG though. So they were just launching bombs from everywhere, but it was 20 shots to 5 at halftime of that game. So I told everyone to live bet it, and Leicester scored immediately after break.
I was going to say, I think Leicester went up.
They did, yeah. I felt like the biggest fucking moron. And then they somehow clawed back.
Just for measuring purposes, when Liverpool beat Bournemouth 9-0, they only recorded 19 shots the entire game.
Yeah. The halftime of that game, everyone was like, I literally wasn't paying it any attention, and I was just scrolling at halftime, and I went, what the fuck is going? It became must-watch television from that point on. It's absurd. I've never seen it before. I tweeted it out earlier this week.
All right, we're skipping power rankings, and we're going straight to the week.
I want to know if you would pick Arsenal 1 or 2 right now on neutral field.
I'd still pick City. I'd still pick City.
Pick City.
No reverse jinxing.
Wait, you know how this is like week to week contingency, whatever? I genuinely believe if we played tomorrow and Gabby Jesus can nick a goal or two, that's our best chance. And if he's hot like this, I'd play him tomorrow. So I'm going to say we're number one if we played today.
That was a lot of qualifications.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that either.
If Gabby Jesus gets two goals, then we have a chance to win. Yeah, I agree with that.
He scores big goals in big games, and if he's hot right now, play everyone. Get it all out of the way right now. I'd move that game up against City to tomorrow if I could.
He's like the antithesis of Thomas Partey.
Well, Holland's hurt. That's not a hot take, but
all right. So the week coming up, we got some good games on the docket here. You've already mentioned Chelsea hosting Liverpool, which
that's a good game.
Well, no, it's a big game. It's an interesting game. on paper. God damn it.
It's an expensive game.
High profile game.
Very expensive game.
But Liverpool hosting Arsenal on Sunday, for me, is the game of the week. I know there's maybe there's some other ones. By the way, before we get to the games of the week, Leeds. The next couple weeks for Leeds is huge. If they're going to stay up, they have got to get some wins these next couple weeks. Again, this is without Tyler Adams, but this week they play somebody in the midweek. They play Nottingham Forest at home. You have to win that game. Leeds plays Crystal Palace at home on Sunday. Like this week might be the make or break week for Leeds United staying up. Just wanted to point that out. None of those games are the games of the week. So Tyler, which game would you pick as your sort of most intriguing game to watch this week?
Liverpool Arsenal.
Always
has been. Always has been.
Always has been.
Okay.
It doesn't get any bigger.
We are, I mean, City Arsenal, mildly bigger, but we're still in the hunt right now.
For what?
For top four. We're there. This is not only big for Arsenal and for the title race, but like Liverpool could potentially throw themselves, at least from an emotional standpoint, even if we continue to give up 3 goals a game, back into the conversation.
I agree. I don't think you're eliminated. It's funny because you're on 42 points. Aston Villa is on 41. Nobody's talking about Aston Villa being in the top 4 contention. And I agree.
Unai.
I mean, I saw a stat that Aston Villa has. Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. Aston Villa has.
Oh my God, are you okay?
Yeah, old man.
I think so. I don't know. Yeah, the dementia is hitting a little early these days.
Jesus,
Aston Villa has the 3rd most wins, I believe, since either Christmas or something like that. Like since
they got John Duran,
they're hot
on fire.
They are hot.
Oh, John Duran, he's been scoring left and right, I'm sure. What's your prediction on the Arsenal visiting Liverpool game?
I think a 2-2 draw is what's going to happen, and we're going to feel good about it as Arsenal fans. I think we're going to have to fight our little balls off for it, and I think it's going to be open and fun. I think these two teams both have that many goals in them, as we saw in the first leg, quote unquote, of the Premier League campaign with them. But I think we're having that type of year where you score the 3rd, and Liverpool's not, and I think it'll end 2-2.
Tyler?
You know, as much as I was singing a different tune about 10 minutes ago,
Damn, I fell for it. I'm hooked.
I think we're showing up.
There's been
very few instances. There's been very few instances this year when like our backs have very much been up against the wall, and we've showed up. I think this is one of them. I think Anfield is going to be rocking. I think that Luis Diaz may get some minutes underneath his belt on Tuesday, and then perhaps could play 30 to 45 over the weekend.
Okay.
And it's Anfield, man. It is the greatest home field advantage in all of sports. Like these are the games that the fans live for, and these are the games that the players have been getting up for the most part. The City thing, I don't know. It's on the road, and like we shit the bed, and we're capable of that. But like, buckle up. I think you could see a big time performance from Liverpool. We'll follow it up with a loss after that, but like we're going to be up for this.
I really hope that you either lose or have a disgustingly just terrible draw against Chelsea.
No, I hope they kill Chelsea.
Resulted exactly. The worse result that is, the worse that result is, the more confident I am that you beat Arsenal this weekend. If you have a bad, shitty performance against Chelsea, I will be that much more confident that you beat Arsenal. I think that you will either beat them or I think you get a result out of this game. I really think that. And
there's no result for us in this game other than a win. A draw is not a result for us at this point.
That's why it's going to be over.
It's a result for me. I would be okay with that as a result.
Yeah.
I take a fucking draw too.
Can I go a little off topic here? Listening to you complain about Spurs and the Spursiness.
Go off.
My spirit club is Spurs. You complain about this. You complain about Spurs the same way that I complain about the Jets and the Mets and the Knicks. It's the same. It's the same thing. So who's that? Is that Papa?
Father-in-law. Yep.
Is he a little toasty right now, having some Pacificos?
They're taking a walk. I don't know.
Anyway, I want to share this moment with you, just saying that like I feel it, and I don't know why it took me this long to realize it, but like if I had to do this all over again and pick a club, because I picked Liverpool when I was about 13 because of my club coach at the time who was a big Liverpool fan, I'd probably pick Spurs.
Yeah, you picked right.
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want this.
And we weren't even good at the time. I mean, we were decent, but like, we weren't.
It's probably like Spurs, but
18, 19, 20 Liverpool.
Yeah, I hear you. You chose wisely as somebody in.
I'm very, very close to turning full heel and being the most confident, cocky, in-your-face Arsenal fan of all time for the final round. I'm close. Maybe next week.
Tune in.
If we beat Liverpool, I'm in. We're beating City.
What a team.
I would love to see that out of you, Mikey.
I'm fully in for the remainder of it. I'll get a tattoo prematurely. I'll do the whole fucking thing.
Premature tattoo. I like that.
This has been 5 months of listening to Mikey tepidly talk about it.
I've been ready to turn. I just haven't done it.
You've been pussyfooting around it for.
You have been pussyfooting. This is what you've been waiting for. This next week's pod is literally what you've been waiting for your entire fandom with this club.
If this happens, then buckle up. That's all I'll say.
I don't even know what a overwhelmingly angry, positive Mikey would sound like. I'm a little nervous.
Well, then beat us.
I hope we never
please,
find
for
out.
the love of God, please, Anfield Magic, take me down.
Any other game? I mean, listen, Liverpool, Arsenal obviously is the game of the weekend, no doubt about it. Any other games? I'm trying to look through. City, Southampton, no.
My best bet's in there, but it's not interesting.
We'll get to that. Brentford, Newcastle. That's quietly quite a good game there. Brentford's in 7th, Newcastle's in 3rd. Yeah, we'll leave it right there. Let's do rest of the world really quickly.
Classico.
Lots of what's that, Tyler?
Nothing.
Oh, well, there are lots of we have a Classico in midweek.
We do.
Thinking back to last weekend, there was a lot of good games last weekend with AC Milan whooping up on Napoli and Bayern just absolutely taking Dortmund behind the woodshed. But let's start with the rest of the world. We're going to start with the man himself, Mr. MLS Hit-It-N-Quit-It Minute man, Tyler Terrence. If you're ready to take over here.
Yeah. All right, let's get it. Week number 6 in Major League Soccer play. Toronto at home against Charlotte, 2-2 draw. That's a very good result for Charlotte on the road. Toronto continue to struggle. LA Galaxy and Seattle Sounders. This game was in Carson. Brian Schmetzer in Seattle looking for a big win, and they've got it. 2-1 winners over Greg Vandy and the LA Galaxy. New England and NYCFC. New England quietly top of the table in the Eastern Conference. They have been lights out to start the season, but they end up drawing a very talented and young NYCFC side by a score of 1-1. Orlando City at home against Nashville. Orlando City have been struggling, particularly at Exploria Stadium, not just this year, but even dating back to 2022 as well. They fall by a score of 2-0 to Gary Smith and Nashville SC. the Columbus Crew, coming off of a touchdown against Atlanta United last week, put up a 4 spot on Real Salt Lake for a 10-1 goal differential over the past 2 weeks. Wilfred Nazi's side are flying. FC Cincinnati, the only remaining unbeaten team in the Eastern Conference, and they are atop the Eastern Conference table with that win in the New England draw. 1-0 winners over Inter Miami. Atlanta United, after that 6-1 loss against the Columbus Crew, followed up with a 1-0 win at home against New York Red Bulls at the Benz. FC Dallas and Portland, good game here. A lot of decent young talent, and FC Dallas able to fend off Portland to some extent. 1-1 is your final score. St. Louis City, Tim Parker and the boys putting their 5-0-0 record up against Adrian Heath and the Loons of Minnesota United at home. Minnesota comes away with a 1-0 win, a penalty to Luis Amarilla in the second half, and he buries it. The streak is over. St. Louis, pack it in. The season is done. Might as well not even show up for the remaining 29 weeks or whatever it is. Chicago and DC United, an absolute stink fest, and I mean stink fest. At Soldier Field, the final score is 0-0. Just a lot of brutally direct garbage football. And to be completely honest, there were 2 big chances. Taxi Funtas hit the post midway through the second half. Chris Brady actually got a touch to it. It was a really good save. When you look back at it like 6 times, you see he just gets a little fingertip to it. And then Kai Kamara had an opportunity for a second stoppage time game winner. This time at Soldier Field, but Tyler Miller raced all the way from Evanston, where he used to play his college ball at Northwestern, and raced down to the loop to be able to make the save on Kai Kamara. 0-0 is the final score. Philadelphia Union and Sporting Kansas City played to a 0-0 draw. Philly have been weird as of late. Sporting Kansas City have just been bad. Colorado Rapids and LAFC at home for the Rapids at Dick's Sporting Goods, and LAFC able to just sort of claw out a 0-0 draw at altitude. Vancouver put a beating on their brothers north of the wall. 5-0 is their final score, as the Vancouver Whitecaps are taking that result into an LAFC Scotiabank CONCACAF Champions League leg number 1 quarterfinal fixture this midweek. And the San Jose Earthquakes with a big 2-1 win over Benny Olsen and the Houston Dynamo. And that would do it for week number 6.
Well done. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the CONCACAF Champions League. There's big games this week. So who all is still in it? The only MLS team to get eliminated was Austin.
Philly.
Those are fun to bet on. Those are fucking nuts.
No. Orlando got eliminated.
Orlando got eliminated as well. Okay.
Tigres.
Right.
So you got LAFC and Vancouver playing against each other. I'm actually going to be on the call for the World feed for that on Tuesday. And then Philly and Atlas is another quarterfinal. So it's Vancouver, LAFC, and Philly. Orlando City and Austin were eliminated.
Okay. Yeah. Those are single elimination at this point?
No.
It's home and home? Okay. Yeah, the first legs are a little, in terms of betting, Mikey was talking about betting, I usually stay away from the first legs.
Under is typically a good bet.
Yeah, exactly. And the second legs are a lot of fun.
Especially against teams who are in the same league. Typically will be that way.
Yeah. So Vancouver LAFC.
I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over just because of that. I swear to God. I got to start fading us more. I heard you guys speak so definitely. Like, I'm in. Give me the over. Lock of the year.
Talk positively about Arsenal. Be cocky. Be an asshole. Let me hear it. Start it right now.
No. Not yet.
Quickly on the Women's World Cup circuit. So kind of a shock. The U.S. Women's have some friendlies coming up this month. And Vlatko named his 26-woman roster. And a big surprise was Julie Ertz, who has not been, I don't think she's played in like 2 years, and she's on the roster. I mean, it's tough to knock her. I mean, she's obviously an incredible athlete. She probably can bounce back from having a kid and not playing and like be immediately at that level. But I was not expecting to see Julie Ertz on the roster. Other things about her, I mean, with this, we've sort of the last maybe a year ago, we talked about the need to sort of recycle and get some new names. It seems like he's done a good job of recycling this roster. And like you got the Mallory, I was going to say Pugh, now she's Swanson. She's been dominating. Shout out Chicago Red Stars, but not just her. Trinity, Rodman, Sophia Smith. I mean, there's so many new names that like if you're just the last time you really watched was the last World Cup, you wouldn't really know a lot of these new women. And man, I'm more excited. Long story short, I'm more excited about the women's team and where it's headed right now than I was a year ago. Anything else to add on that front?
I'm with you. Retweet.
Um,
Well said.
yeah, last thing, Spain. So there's been the story that's been circulating for a while now. There's the 15 players. They're now calling them the 15 rebels, who basically called out. I think it was the coach. It might have been the whole federation. I can't remember exactly, about the conditions of the team, and all 15 of the players were left off of the roster going into these friendlies ahead of the Women's World Cup. That whole story, that narrative is just so weird and wild. I mean, they would have been one of the favorites to win the Women's World Cup, and like, I don't know what the status of the team is going to be. So that'll
And
be
that Barcelona women's team is the most dominant thing in the world.
so good. I mean, they're not all Spanish, but they are.
No, I know.
So good.
But the blood of Spain is usually Barcelona's.
For sure. For sure. And then lastly, on rest of world, we got to give a shout out to the people. So I think we have a tie for first in the NCAA, Sam's Army NCAA bracket pool. I think we have a tie for first, where Snave Mamba 1 and RJ Romeo 2. You guys have UConn as your champions, and you're in first place right now. I don't know what the first, I assume it's tiebreaker.
Over.
Points will be the tiebreaker between them. There's nobody that has. Who are they
That's
playing?
crazy. The score is going to matter for these two. Make sure you put a score in.
It really will. It really will. So somebody's going to win the bracket based on, even if they win or lose. I don't think it matters, because nobody. Why am I blanking? San Diego State. Nobody picked San Diego State, so it's basically down to Snave Mamba and RJ Romeo 2. And you got, whoever wins, you have the option of coming on the podcast if you want to. Big win. All right, let's go to stoppage time. Put a bow on this episode. So we will start with Ivan Toney's best bets. Mikey, I think you already teased the fact that you have yours all lined up. What do you got for us?
It's the Leicester Villa over tomorrow. There's absolutely no way that game doesn't have 4 more goals in it. I'm dead serious. Leicester, wide open games. Aston Villa have been clinical. They're on the road, so Leicester's going to feel pressure to score. This game is going over early.
Okay.
I'm keeping it simple. I've never been more sure. I'm leaning on the Brighton Bournemouth over as well, but I'm taking Leicester Villa as a lock. Done.
I am fading you so hard on that for the exact same reason.
Good. We should both be making money off each other.
So that's not your best
positive
bet. That's
100%.
not going to be your best bet to fade him. I hope though.
No.
Okay. What do you got? What do you got for us?
I told you 0-0 Liverpool Chelsea.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a great one.
Okay. All right.
That's got to get great odds.
I thought
you were going to say
the first non-Terrence parlay in the history of me doing this podcast. This is the only single bet that I've ever done.
Well, I thought you were going to say Jota to score against Arsenal, because he does every single time. So I'm a little bit worried that he's like running around out there for 90 minutes again. People have not talked about him. Still scared of him.
He hasn't been at his best. That's why people are talking about him.
Something about seeing an opponent that, like Drogba used to get against Arsenal too, where you just like, doesn't matter what's going on, you just kill us.
Loves it.
All right. I will go a 2-leg parlay. And so I'm like addicted to betting overs. I've always sort of been that way, but I've sort of got sick of doing it with Premier League, because like not that many games go over. So I've like started to look outwards from the Premier League. Mazatlan, I gave that out last week. Mazatlan has been an over better's wet dream. So
is that still hitting?
It did this week. Yep. But this week I got 2 new ones for you. These are off the grid. Number 1, Notts County in the National League of England. They have been, so they're in with Wrexham. I've sort of found out about Notts County through Wrexham, obviously, but they are right with Wrexham at the top of the league. There's these 2 teams in the National League that are just so far and beyond better than everybody else in the league. It's Notts County and Wrexham. So this week, Notts County is playing Wealdstone. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I think I am. That game, over 2.5, easy money. And I'm going to parlay that with Scotland. It's not even the Scottish Premier League.
That's crazy.
The Scottish Championship. So the second division in Scotland. Partick Thistle, who I've always had a soft spot for, as somebody who studied abroad in Glasgow. I went to a number of Partick Thistle games. They score this in the championship at Scotland. There's so many goals. They play Queen's Park, and those two teams both score goals. Like that could be over 3.5. I would still take it. I would put those two together.
I'm never going to bet these.
Queen's
but I
Park
like it.
and Notts County versus Wealdstone. Those are both on Friday. So get your weekend started off on the right foot right there.
Are you fixing these?
No, I'm just doing a little research.
These sound small enough to fix.
Just doing a little legwork here. Just doing a little legwork for the boys.
All right. I trust you.
So those are my Ivan Toney's best bets. Let's finish.
We have Tyler. We have a Classico on Wednesday, and that's Sam's best bet for the week. We want your attention on that.
And he gives you shit for calling out obscure games.
I know the 7th division Uruguay.
What are we talking about here?
Listen, I think I said this already.
That Alabama sun is frying your brain.
Listen, it might not be. You can't maybe tell that I'm looking like a lobster. I'm a lobster right now. I got burned first day right out of the gun. Over bettors, if you're looking for leagues to bet on, Netherlands, Germany, Scotland. Those are my 3 favorites. Mexico is just below those. So if you're looking for high scoring, Belgium is up there too. Just keep that in mind. I've been doing the legwork. I've been doing the research for the people. Okay. GOAWs time. Let's finish strong. Who wants to go first on the GOAWs?
I can go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tyler.
No, Mikey, you go.
No, please.
No, I insist.
I'm still scrolling.
Okay. I can go.
No, I'm gonna go. I love hearing and reading about players only meetings. Gets my juices pumping. Luke Shaw and Manchester United following their 2-0 loss to Newcastle. No staff was allowed in the locker room. And just I adore somebody who loves the badge as much as Luke Shaw does, just grabbing a hold of the spirit of the locker room and saying, everybody get the fuck out. We need to address this as men. That's my kind of team. That's my kind of guy. I always knew I liked Luke Shaw. So he is my goer.
That's your guy.
I love that, because nothing makes me happier than when teams I don't like have to call players only meetings.
It's not a good sign. That's
nobody's
true.
having them when you're winning.
No. Okay, a good call. Who's your goer, Mikey?
Since Neil Warnock took over at Huddersfield, they've won 4, drawn 2, and lost 2. He took over for a team that had lost 8 straight, and he's sturdied the ship at Huddersfield in February. And it led to a flurry of tweets that I had forgotten about of Neil Warnock's attempt to go viral throughout the years, filming these weird little videos. I'm going to retweet one now randomly onto the timeline. I'm happy, and I'm going to follow along with Neil Warnock as long as he continues to manage. So that's my Goa. Good to see his fucking face again. Generic Neil Warnock. One of my favorite people in the world. I genuinely root for Neil Warnock. I don't know why. I'm obsessed with him.
Wow. Okay. Well, my Goa for the week, shout out to Julian Gressel. I saw he scored that 4-0 ass thumping. But my Goa is Fernando Hernandez, who was the referee in the Lyon Club America game this past weekend. Excuse me. And this game was absolutely bonkers, which Liga MX is just a bonkers league. It's hilarious. I love watching a lot of these games. Mazatlan games always go over. Club America games usually go over. There's just crazy things happen. So many things crazy happened in this game, but what I'm going to give it to the referee for Fernando Hernandez, there was a big scrum. All the players, they do that thing where they all crowd around the referees and they get in his face and, sort of whatever players do, they just sort of yell at him. Fernando Hernandez took matters into his own hands, and he kneed one of the players directly in the nuts. And And
I did see this.
And I think that first, I'm sure he's going to get in big trouble for it, which stinks because the players that like crowd around referees, there needs to be some street justice. Like they had that whole thing a couple years ago where it was like, we're going to give out cards. And that lasted about 2 weeks. That was gone in like 2 weeks. They've just gone right back to it. I know street justice obviously maybe a little strong, but like the rugby referees, if you come up to any of those rugby referees, or if you give them like a side eye, they'll send you to the sin bin like immediately. And soccer referees, if you start doing that, soccer players will respond. They take what you give them, and soccer referees give players way too much leeway. Tyler, you disagree?
No, it's just not. It's nothing new. I mean, you know the saying, right? Rugby is a gentleman's game played, is a savage's game played by gentlemen, and soccer is a gentleman's game played by savages. Like they're like, it's just a different breed of human being. Like, and the reason why you can't be dishing out yellow cards, although I do agree with you, even though I was one of those players who always ran up to the referee, I just you can't be giving out cards because the people who are going to end up doing that are the star players on each team. And like no league wants to, feel the wrath of fans because guys are getting yellow cards for showing a little bit too much emotion in the heat of the battle. Like,
I agree with letting the captain come up and have a conversation or whatever. And typically that's your biggest player. So I'm okay with that. It's the multiple players crowding around and sort of giving referees shit. And I don't really like VAR, but one of the things I do like about VAR is the ref can just be like, listen, it's out of my control. I'm just listening to this guy in my ear. So, there's no point yelling at me about that. So I kind of like that about that. Mikey?
I like that too. But I think the clip was outrageous. So you're not going to condone anything like that.
I mean, it was outrageous. He kneed the guy in the nuts. Like, that's maybe a little too far, obviously. But I disagree with you on your take that soccer players would not respond appropriately, though, Tyler. I think that if referees were legitimately, if they acted like rugby refs, players would respond accordingly. I really do think that's true.
You would need there to be some sort of rule change where, like, if there's a second infringement of like abusing the referee verbally, then your team has to play a man down for like 3 minutes, because dishing out a yellow card and then sending them off impacts the game too much. Like, there has to be some sort of middle ground. I don't disagree with you. Like, I think that if there was something like that in place, then soccer players could do it. Of course, I'm joking when I say the savages and gentlemen thing, but like, how can we change that? It's just not like,
you can't change it overnight because player behavior is sort of ingrained at this point. So you need to sort of do it by stages.
You should think about that in your managerial philosophy hire.
Mikey, don't get me started. I just like, my blood pressure had just gone down to like back to normal. Shout out Pacifico, but do not get me started on Tottenham right now. They're just too. I'm done with them until next week. In which case, we'll lose to Brighton, and I'll have a whole new list of belly aches to bring up. All right, listen, I said we're going to keep it short. We kind of kept it short despite the internet woes dealing with. But Tyler, thank you. Mikey, thank you. Everybody else, thank you guys for listening. We're not done yet. Here we go. I'm going to send it over to a quick chat with Kai Kamara of the Chicago Fire. See you guys next week.